I'm the Vice President of Marketing here at FrontStream, and welcome to our Get Fall Ready webinar series. This is a three-part webinar series for the summer that we're doing one a month that's designed to help you build your strongest fall campaign yet. And today is our first session. We're talking about Gala and auction strategy. So specifically what the data tells us about what separates high-performing events from the rest. And I'm joined by Samantha Otero, who's one of our managers of the customer success team here at FrontStream. And Samantha works with nonprofits every day, and she led the data deep dive into all of our events to learn what's working and what's not. So Samantha, great to have you.
Thanks, Terry. I'm really excited to be here, and I love getting to share what we're seeing across the platform because the data is genuinely surprising in some really encouraging ways. Nonprofits are leaving a lot of revenue on the table, and the good news is most of it is very fixable. So I'm super excited to be here and dive right in.
Fantastic. Thank you for being here. So let's get into it. So Samantha, as we talked about, you've worked with hundreds of organizations on their events and you've been deep in the data. So let's not bury the lead here. What's the one thing you see consistently separating the galas that hit their goals from the ones that don't? And is there a number or metric that you see that stands out as to why?
That's a great question. There's so many ways that we can host an event using FrontStream's Bidding for Good. We're going to tackle some of these numbers during this time, but the one that sticks out the most is driving your community to participate. We see that those who have 150 plus bidder participation tend to exceed or over exceed their goals. Whether you're new to fundraising, looking to grow your impact, or ready to elevate your strategy, three event models consistently stand out. We have that scale and repeatable event, which is simple to execute and easy to replicate year after year. We have those premium galas, that is that high touch experience designed to maximize donor engagement and revenue. And then we have that lean and leveraged event type where it's resource efficient, delivers strong results with minimal overhead. We'll explore how leveraging these tools and features already available can help make this possible. I'm not going to give away all the details just yet. We'll walk through practical strategies together, especially if reaching 150 plus bidders feels like an ambitious goal.
Thanks, Samantha. So three event models, one target metric of 150 bidders, and I'm sure the organizations on the call here today are not surprised by having ambitious goals. I'm sure they all have ambitious goals, but one area that might surprise people, it's the sponsor data and how compelling that is in the findings in your analysis. Because a lot of smaller nonprofit sponsors are it's almost an afterthought for them around the sponsorship side. So what does the actual data say about the revenue impact of getting sponsorships right?
If you don't know where to start on finding sponsorships, use your board, have them share it with their friends and families, past donors, businesses. These are great starting points. And we see that those who sell sponsorships for their events can see an 80% revenue lift. That is significant and worth spending time on curating or expanding. When it comes to sponsorships, keep it simple. The highest performing events didn't overwhelm sponsors with endless choices. They typically offered 4 to 6 well defined sponsorship tiers, making it easy for businesses to understand the value and commitment. A structure that I have found consistently performs well looks like an entry level sponsorship level of $1,000, supporting sponsor at $2,500, premium sponsor at $5,000, signature sponsors at $7,500, and presenting sponsors $10,000 and above. Instead of creating 10 or 12 sponsorship options, they've focused on a few strong tiers with meaningful benefit and clear differentiation. The key takeaway here when it comes to sponsorships is simplicity drives decisions.
I love that as someone personally myself who sold sponsorships to in PGA Tour events, so hundred thousands of people and selling sponsorships to those. Simple is great advice. Keep it simple, easy to understand. Sponsorships do require a lot of work, outreach, relationships, time. So having that best practice approach will certainly help. But what I love about the next one that we're going to talk about is almost the opposite in regards to the effort of sponsorship. One of the behaviors you identified costs almost nothing and takes about 30 seconds to turn on. And yet most organizations either don't know about it or haven't done it. So tell me about the Bidding for Good community.
Ooh, this is a good one. One of the easiest ways to grow your auction is by enabling our Bidding for Good community feature, which targets roughly 2 million bidders daily. It connects your event to a marketplace of bidders on the daily. So think about it this way. Every nonprofit has a network of supporters, but growing that network takes time and resources. The bidder community really helps bridge that gap by connecting your auction to an existing marketplace of active, engaged bidders who are already looking for items to bid on. On average, the bidder community participants account for 45% of all bidders, 42% of all bids, and 37% of gross auction revenue. For smaller organizations, it's even more impactful, providing nearly 60% of their entire bidder base. The biggest takeaway, it's essentially built in demand generation, bringing new bidders to your auction without requiring additional marketing effort from your team. It sounds too good to be true, but I promise you it's true.
That's really exciting, Samantha, to hear the kind of potential to expand the reach. Do you have any real world success stories from nonprofits that you've worked with in the past that may have leveraged this capability and kind of what the outcome was for them?
Yeah, I do actually. I just recently completed an event with one of my organizations, Race to Erase MS. Between May 29th and June 4th, Race to Erase MS hosted a gala that included an auction. Their bidding was all live in-person bidding, but they wanted to leverage the Bidding for Good community first to drive up the starting bids for their gala day. So what they did was they put 235 items up on Bidding for Good. They received 96 bids from 76 bidders who placed 195 total bids and generated $47,000 worth of high bid revenue to start bidding off right at their gala event. And the best part here is that it all came from the Bidding for Good community. They leveraged one single promotional email, sent two event text messages, and within days before the auction closed, we featured items on our Bidding for Good homepage through our available ad space placement, which helped drive engagement with minimal effort. It's really exciting.
That's really exciting to be able to start with 40 plus $1,000 before your event starts is pretty incredible. And it's
Yeah.
a perfect example of what's possible when you stop limiting your event to the people that are already in your database. So now let's talk about what happens once those bidders arrive, because you can have 150 active bidders ready to go and still leave money on the table if your catalog itself isn't right. And this is where the data gets really counterintuitive. I think most people, including myself, would have assumed that more items means more revenue. What did you actually find in the data?
What we found is that the more items that we have doesn't actually always mean better results. The data shows that 50 to 150 auction items is the sweet spot. Enough variety without overwhelming bidders. Too many items can create fatigue, while too few can limit revenue potential. Adding a buy now option can also drive 43% revenue lift and improve your sell through rate. A strong sell through rate benchmark is about 76%. So we want to either hit that or go above when it comes to selling our items. Of course, the ideal mix can shift between event types. This can make a huge difference. Remember those three types of events that I just referred to? We have that scale and repeatable, which are simple to execute and easy to replicate year over year. When it comes to this type of event, is your auction online only? Is it local? Is it nationwide? Is it chapter specific? And do you tend to offer similar items year over year? These factors can all support a larger, more strategic inventory, especially when bidders return with a clear expectation of what they're looking for. We have that premium gala, which is that high touch experience designed to maximize donor engagement and revenue. These events typically also include paddle raise or fund and need moments, which are critical for their success. Items should be curated based on your guest list and what they're likely to buy. When you're thinking about closeout for this type of event, would you rather manage thousands of unsold items or end the night with a focused catalog that drove competition and bidding and cleared the room? That lean and leveraged, resource efficient event that delivers strong results for minimal overhead. Were all these items donated? And is this strictly an online auction or is there also a live component? Events that are more sponsorship and in kind donor driven typically have a smaller auction inventory since a larger portion of the revenue is captured elsewhere and the auction plays a more secondary role.
That's really interesting. I think about the galas I've been to when there was limited items and just the level of competition that hits in the room and the energy that draws. So I kind of understand where the data is going now. So,
Yes,
the,
the
so
urgency,
the
right?
urgency, yes, for sure. So the catalog you have is curated, the items are right, you have your buy it now set up. Now people need to actually know about it. And this is where I want to spend some time because the email data in your analysis as a marketer kind of maybe pause for a moment. And there's a gap between the top and bottom performing events that is kind of so large, it's hard to believe, really. So, for the organizations in the room who worry about kind of over communicating to their donors, what does that data actually tell us?
Communication is everything, is what the data tells us. Top events send out roughly 15,000 emails versus those lower events sending out roughly 8 to 900 emails. Send 3 emails to start, announce it, announce 2 weeks before closing, midpoint reminders, final push 24 to 48 hours before closing. FrontStream's Bidding for Good promotion feature really provides all the tools that you need to communicate and track the open rates at the same time. My biggest recommendation is do not be afraid to over communicate because you are not spamming. You are getting your word out to your community, and that's the goal, right? Get your word out, drive in that fundraising revenue to support your mission.
Yeah, as a marketer, I think the common rule is you need to communicate and tell someone your message at least 7 times before they actually hear it. Sometimes when you feel like you may be over communicating, you probably aren't. So keep going. So you have your volume there, that your emails are growing out, but something we kind of touched on, but is the word relevancy, right? It's like making it relevant for your audience. So because sending 15,000 emails to the wrong person or with the wrong message is just really noise if it's not relevant to them. So how do you actually make that volume work? How do you think about what and who gets what message? And why does that segmentation matter so much when you're thinking about your emails?
When you're thinking about your communication, segmenting is key because we have a wide variety of the people that we are communicating with. So, building your contact list based on your donor database, past event attendees, board members, supporters before your event goes live is crucial because it helps you get prepared. Then scheduling those emails, you set it and forget it. It sends out by yourself. The work is being done for you is a crucial step in this. So, segmenting our audience, board members, past bidders, new prospects, all the messages should be different across the board when it comes to each segmentation. So we're highlighting certain aspects, personalizing it where we can when it comes to that certain demographic that we are communicating with. And we provide all those tools for you within the event to make it easy for you to do that.
Thanks for that insight. So you got your list, you've segmented it, your emails are going out to the right people now with the right message, it's relevant for them. Now let's talk about something most organizations generally don't think about strategically. Your data suggests they probably should, and that's the auction duration and closing time. On the surface, I would think this feels more just like logistics, just pick a date, a time, and be done with it. But what does your data actually tell us on the best practice here?
Timing is everything. Auctions that run too long, 30 days plus, can lead to bidder fatigue, reduce urgency, while auctions that are too short limit visibility and participation. So, closing time is just as important. We recommend weekdays or weekends, weekday or weekend evenings between 7 and 9 p.m. Those consistently outperform afternoon closings. Avoid ending an auction on a holiday, and remember that the final 48 hours typically generates the highest bidding activity, making it the perfect time to increase marketing and that bidder engagement.
Love that. And the last 48 hours makes sense. People like to procrastinate, and then the competition goes, and you want to make sure you win it, right? So
Yes.
that closes this campaign in itself. So thank you for sharing all that. And we've covered a lot of ground today: 6 behaviors, a North Star metric of the 150 bidders, actually more actionable data than I typically get in the conference sessions I attend. But before we open up for questions, I want to ask you something a little different. If someone's watching today and is overwhelmed, and we talked a lot about data, a lot of behaviors, a lot of different things today on the webinar. If you're talking to them and they only have time to implement one thing for their fall gala, what would you tell them is the best approach?
That's a hard one because all of them are really important, right? Super crucial to really implement every single thing that we just discussed during this time today. However, I think the one that stands out the most is unlocking your bidder community because that is driving in revenue. Enabling the bidding for good community is the quickest and easiest practice to implement. Remember that story about Race to a Race? They generated $47,000 worth of high leading bids before their live event day. I've worked with hundreds of organizations utilizing this feature who also achieved significant revenue growth using the Bidding for Good community. This is the most important one, the easiest one, and it's quick because all it is a checkbox. That's all we got to do. Just check it on and you're good to go. I am absolutely willing to share more Bidding for Good stories when it comes to the webinar series to follow, which Terry, I think you have a little more details
We'll share
to
more.
share.
Yeah, we'll share some more when we get to the end. And the race to erase MS story still just sticks with me, just the impact it made. So I hear you on that being a very important thing for if you're going to do one
Yes.
thing, get more revenue, right?
Turn it on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So last thing before we go to questions, Samantha, I want to give you a chance to talk about what comes next to our FrontStream customers who are on the call with us today, because the webinar today is strategic, high level. Here's the metric. Here's some behaviors you should be doing, but how to make it actionable, right? You built something specifically for our customers to take these 6 behaviors and actually implement them in the product. So tell us about the Fall Readiness Workshop series. And for those, I'm sure there's a lot on the call today that aren't customers. If you're interested in seeing a demo of FrontStream or hearing more about what Samantha's going to talk about, just write demo please in the Q&A and we'll make sure we follow up with you. So Samantha, tell us a little more about this series that you've developed.
Yes, I'm really excited because I think it's going to be very educational and helpful for a lot of the organizations using Bidding for Good. We are going to dive into FrontStream's Bidding for Good during the readiness workshops, and we're actually going to showcase how to implement each of these best practices that we just chatted about. I will walk you through the who, what, where, why, how when it comes to turning all the bells and whistles on and make sure that your event is set up for success using Bidding for Good. So I'm really excited to take that deep dive and really showcase the possibilities and opportunities that we have.
Fantastic. Thanks for sharing that. I'm sure our customers will be excited about that. Okay, let's get to some questions. I've seen some come through. If you have a question, please put it in the chat or the Q&A section of the webinar today. I'll read some that have already come through. Scrolling quickly, Samantha, does the Bidding for Good platform primarily work with online auctions, or does it also integrate with a live silent auction event?
Ooh, this is a fantastic question because all of it. Online auctions are definitely the way to go. It makes it easier on the admin side, but we are set up to be able to host online auctions, live in-person auctions, if we want to do online bidding and then bid sheet auctions, live event only items where you just want to kind of showcase your items first with no online bidding because it's only available for your guest at your event. We can do it all. So all types of events can be hosted using Bidding for Good. It just depends on the type of event you're hosting.
For buy now items that you would put into your auction, how much of over the fair market value should they be? Is there any strategies behind that option?
I would put it above the fair market value by 5 or 10%. So you are sure that you are going to make that value. So if you're willing to part ways with the item before bidding has concluded and you added that buy now option, make sure that it is above the estimated value so you do retain revenue and don't lose any.
Great. You might have touched on this in the webinar. How long before your event should you actually open your auction? What's the best practice there again?
If we're having a live event, we want to target 7 to 14 days before that actual live event day. Not only does this build anticipation for the live event, it also encourages your guests to pre-register for your event. So they're in there and they can set those max bids, set it and forget it, and they don't have to worry about it come the live event day. 7 to 14 days is that sweet spot because it gives us just enough time to be able to communicate and ensure that people are getting registered so they can participate at your event.
We've had a couple variations on this question about bidding for good. And maybe you can touch on the specific question I'll ask is, since you're open up your bids to bidding for good, which can be all over the country, how do you handle shipping? Do bidders just assume they'll be paying that charge? But talk a little bit about, because there were some questions about where the customer or the bidding for good community actually is. Can you touch on kind of, is it global? Is it US? Where is it? And
Yes.
then talk a little about the shipping side.
Absolutely. So we get bidders from all across the United States and Canada who are actively bidding on these items daily. With that, typically we recommend adding a shipping clause into your item description. So if you are wanting to open it up to the Bidding for Good community and you haven't done that before because you're worried about shipping, adding that shipping clause in the description saying something like, please note, this item is applicable for shipping costs potentially, however you want to word it. That way it's visible and they can see that when they are choosing to bid on it. And we make it really easy because we can add that shipping cost to the final sale before we process that payment if they were to win the item and they are across the country or far away from wherever you're located.
Great, thank you. This is an interesting one. It's talking more about sponsors and donors in today's market, right? So the question being, any tips on how to seek sponsors and donors in today's marketplace where costs are very high and donations are down at the moment?
That's a great question. I think it's really crucial to continue communicating your mission, number one. What does their sponsorship bring to the table when it comes to your organization and how are they impacting it? And sharing their sponsorship impact with your community can be very beneficial. Sponsorships are helping us, but also what are the sponsorships getting out of the sponsorship that they are purchasing from your organization? It's a two-way street, right? Because we're a partnership when it comes to being a sponsor. So incentivizing them could potentially be something to consider when it comes to that. If they pay a $5,000 sponsorship, are they getting ad space in your newsletter? Are they being featured on your homepage? Are they being featured on your event page? Because that is a feature that is offered through the Bidding for Good page too. And are we giving them that exposure in addition to them supporting our cause? So I think that really is crucial when it comes to the sponsorship packages. And if you're concerned about pricing, start small. We don't have to go for those large dollar tiered sponsorships. We can go for a smaller dollar range. I think that's perfectly fine. It really is a matter of who you are as an organization. How do you want to grow? Do you want to be aggressive about growing, or do we want to take baby steps when it comes to that and really build up our sponsorship participation that way?
Great. I mean, it's a great answer. And even coming from the marketing side, there's a philosophy around WIFM, which is WIIFM, which is what's in it for me. And I think that speaks to the relevancy we were talking about earlier. So when you're communicating out to donors, to sponsors, even as someone who gets asked for sponsorships often, that's great. I'm sure you have a great story. A lot of organizations here have great stories, and the causes do matter. But also, I need to get something out of it from a marketing perspective or a business perspective to make sure that those dollars are going back to drive something for us. So it's important to be able to make that connection of not just the social impact or the community impact, but also how is it going to help me, besides just feeling good about the cause, how is it going to help our organization as well? So I think that was great
Absolutely.
advice. I think we'll get to one more, see if I can find a good one here. One quickly you can answer is just, is Bidding for Good available for people who are not subscribed to FrontStream?
Bidding for Good, the website is available for everybody if you want to place bids, but if you want to put your auction items up on Bidding for Good, you do need to be an active client and have an active subscription with FrontStream.
Great, thank you. This is a tactical one. If we're having a silent auction, is it beneficial to have a basket raffle as well?
It depends on what's in your baskets. And does it make sense to have a basket raffle? I don't think it would hurt if you feel your community would participate on a basket raffle. Again, it goes back to our demographic and how we're catering to them when it comes to our item catalog and curating that to make it meaningful and thoughtful to the people that we are trying to essentially sell these items to, right? So, does it make sense to have a basket raffle? Because if it does, then absolutely. And we've seen many basket raffles be very successful using Bidding for Good.
Yeah, and there's one last question around what do you think is the most valuable marketing benefit of a sponsorship, which I think I could answer in that it depends on who you're talking to within the organization and the organization. So I would my advice would be to understand the organizations first before you just send them a cold reach out. Understand where they put their dollars today and what they're trying. A lot of times will even communicate what they're trying to accomplish, especially on the CSR pages and stuff like that. So do a little bit of research ahead of time so you can understand what matters to that organization that you're reaching out to. Networking is always a good way otherwise, because then you just make the connection that way. But be able to tell your story quickly, be able to tell them why it matters to them. And if you can associate their goals with your program and event, I think that's a great way to make an ask.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I think we're up on time now. Samantha, thank you so much. This was exactly the kind of conversation I was hoping we'd have. It's practical, action oriented, data driven. I hope everyone found it, as I did, genuinely useful. I hope you have a great rest of your summer. Please join us for our next webinar will be on July 21st, and it's going to be around peer-to-peer. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone.